Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today we're going to be having a closer look at another G.I. Joe classified series item. This is going to be the Trubble Bubble with the Tele-Viper or Cobra Flight Pod. Now, of course, this is going to be a 2-in-1 review because I'll be also reviewing the Python version of it. So let's have a look a bit at this box. As you can see, this is number 79 in the G.I. Joe Classified series. We're going to flip the box over. As we can see, you have some pictures with the details of what do you get in the box, the flight pod itself. So this is the 79 in the G.I. Joe Classified series, and number 98, who's going to be the flight pod, but the Python Force version of it. Sadly, this is the box who got damaged. This is a bit the problem when you're shipping out with Hasbro, so sometimes you do not get lucky. So this is number 98 in the series. I want to go back to the original box, so I'm going to go back to the regular version. So of course both of these vehicles and pilots came out in 2023. Of course they were available through Hasbro Pulse for Europe. Of course those two versions were available. The ones from Hasbro Pulse, if you wanted the Python version of it, you could get it through Hasbro Pulse US, or you could go to Target because this is a Target exclusive. So both vehicles retain for €54.99 in the US, €64.99 in Europe. So let's dive into the history of these items. Now, of course, in 1985, when the original figure came out, that means this dude here came out, he was only sold as a solo figure. As you can see, this is the version. Now, I know I have a Python Tele-Viper somewhere, but I cannot locate him. But roughly, it's the same design, but instead of having him in this blue purplish outfit, you're going to be getting him as a regular item figure, but with the Python Force logo on it and the paintings of it. So of course the Python version came out in 1989. Now, putting aside our Tele-Viper that I'm going to leave over here, let's see if I can push it a bit. Yes, so it's going to be like this. So we're going to have him like that. So of course Hasbro decided to go with this set, but I think this set was more inspired by the 2008 version of it, where it came in a double pack with Breaker. So it's a bit funny getting the flight pod with the Tele-Viper and the Ram Cycle with Breaker, because if you look, it's the two communication experts who are going against each other. So I think this is why Hasbro in 2023 decided to come out with the set and giving us the Tele-Viper with the flight pod. So what do we get in this wonderful box from Hasbro? So we're going to be going, of course, with the flight pod. We get, of course, the Tele-Viper. We get his camera and system of communication. We get, of course, his backpack. We get, of course, the cable that goes with it. Now, on this flight pod here, I should quickly remove the missiles on the side. Of course, you get the mine who comes with it, who's a lot smaller than the original version. You get a helmet, and then you get an extra head sculpt to make an Afro-American version of this guy. Now, thinking about this item here, I think that it's a very interesting way of doing it, due to the fact that you're going to army build it. Having the flight pod makes sense to have more than one version. The fact of giving us an Afro-American head, who's just a simple repaint of the original head here, so nothing much here to see. Then we are getting an extra helmet that could be put on. So technically you could buy 3 of them and make 3 different versions of it. Now, of course, this is something that I find very interesting to do. It's pretty good time saving if you want to build up an army who makes a bit sense. So let's put this up and let's talk a bit about the flight pod. Now I was saying compared to the original flight pod, who came also out in 1985, this one looks pretty decent. It does have a bit of a problem, as you can see here, to clips in and fall in. Now, the mine system here is a bit different than the one that came out originally, because the original one would come in here and you would be able to clip it. This one is way smaller than the original version. Sadly, I know I have maybe a flight pod in one of the boxes, the original one, but I mean, I now have the other ones running around in some of the boxes, but the flight pod does look really similar. I like the fact that you have a lot of room to gear up this guy, to strap him in. Of course, like I said, this doesn't fit perfectly. I remember this was also an issue with the 1985 version. So, as you can see, the flight pod looks pretty decent. It's a pretty nice vehicle. Simple vehicle. It's the second one released, because the first release in the classified series was the Baroness. So, of course, a lot of people, because it's not explained in the manual, where do you put the mine? So from what I understood, the mine comes, you clips it in over here behind, and it clips in this way and fits in this way. This is where the mine goes. So I don't understand why Hasbro didn't put it up and said, hey, this is where the mine switches in. Why not do it? So, of course, this is the regular flight pod. Now let's dive into the flight pod in the Tiger Force. Now, before going into the flight pod, let's have a look at the figure. Of course, same principle. You get the same heads with one Caucasian and one Afro-American. You also get this one. So I geared him up here. As you can see, they did a little difference. So the fact of getting a little watch over here, there's little accessories on the wrist here that are easy to turn. So it was pretty easy to make two different versions of this. And of course, it is nice to be able to take this is take communication gun and clips it on over here. So it's really easy to have the figure. Now let's have a look at the Python version. Now, of course, Python means that you get some extra designs, some different logos, some little eyes. There's a bit of a pad info. It's also the same. On the other one, as you can see, these missiles have a tendency of popping out and do not hold very well in place. So this one does have exactly the same problem. This doesn't clip in really nicely over here, so it does have a bit of a problem. As you can see, it looks pretty neat overall on this part. Now, do I think that these items are collectible items? Do I think they have a certain value? Now, it's very funny that the original one, if you can call it the original flight pod, was only available through Hasbro Pulse and cannot be ordered. Now, this item is sold out in Europe, but not is still available. The Python one is sold out on Hasbro Pulse Europe, but not, means on the US, but not sold out on Hasbro Pulse Europe. I think you can still find it at Target. I don't think it's available anymore online, so that one is sold out. So if you go to a Target, you'll be able to find it. Now, of course, I think these two items are collectible items due to the fact that they're a lot rarer. There was not a general release for the regular version. It was only available through Hasbro Pulse. So, of course, you will be able to get it only through Hasbro Pulse if you want it. For this one, you're only able to get it from Europe through Hasbro Pulse, and it's still available. But pick it up. I think it's going to be something that it's an easy army builder. The fact of getting three different heads for this guy makes it also an army builder. Now the question is, how are they going to do when they're going to be doing the retro line? Are we going to get this figure with his backpack and geared up exactly in this way? Are we going to get the two heads? Because we know Hasbro is going to do a launch of this guy in this retro line, so I guess we're going to be getting roughly this figure and of course the gear. Personally, I would have liked to see something extra for this figure because, I mean, yes, he was pretty basic when he came out, so I think we should be getting something a bit more maybe with the retro line. Of course, we're going to get a pad, so we're going to see if they're going to also do a relaunch. So I strongly suggest that you go on to this figure. Now, what are my final thoughts and what are my thoughts about the Note out of 10? Now, personally, for both versions, I think we can go easily a 9 out of 10. I'm not going to give this a 10 out of 10 due to the fact that, again, I think that the figure, for a figure of 2023, should be getting a weapon and should not getting a communication. It was easy to include a holster on this figure, give us a pistol or even a Cobra regular laser rifle would have been something that I would have thought that would be something that would be included with this set. I think the fact of saying that you did not manage to fix the problem about the flight pod clipsing in 1985 and that you didn't solve it in 2023 makes no sense that you didn't manage. So that's why I'm going to be giving this only a 9 out of 10. You could even go down to 8 out of 10 would make sense. So I'm a bit hesitating if I should be giving it an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. Well, let's give it an 8 out of 10 due to the fact that you don't have any extra weapons, and Hasbro, I mean, I'm sorry, you didn't manage to fix a problem in nearly 40 years and not making that problem fix. So I think that's going to be a bit sad that you didn't manage it. So that's going to be my review for the Tele-Viper and the Flight Pod, not Tiger Force, Python Force version or the regular version. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, comment in the section, subscribe to the channel, it helps a lot. I'll be making some pictures of these flight pods outside, so you can go and check my Instagram page or my Facebook page where those pictures will be posted. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!